of dead people. Look alive.
My name is Unbound, horror rock freak show host of Lake Fright with Unbound. And having been recently released from my prison of 1,000 years, it is my intention to take over the horror hosting industry, rock and roll style, baby! And I'm going to start right here at ScareLA 2017. Who's with me? You are my people. The freaks, the geeks, the weirdos, and the malcontents, the thrill seekers, the chill seekers, and those with bad intents. Welcome to my show. It's gonna be a hell of a ride. Your fear becomes you. Let me come inside. You see, to me, your delicacy turned on a spit. Or a frequency. On the blood of you, I'll get drunk. I'll take your life while I bring on the funk. You'll be my sustenance, with you I'll survive. Won't know the difference, cause you won't be alive. Glad to meet you. Gonna fill my cup, gonna eat you. Gonna eat you up. My name is Unbound, man. Unbound. I'm gonna freak you till you go insane. My name is Unbound, man. Unbound. I'm gonna freak you till you go insane. Everybody, Unbound, man. Unbound. 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 One more time. Unbound. Unbound. Yes. You are indeed the super freaks of the world. In this next panel, I know a little something about. It's all about bringing monsters to the stage. And I want you to put your hands together now for a very good friend of mine. He got me this gig. I call him Daddy. My old college roommate, Brian Curly Sapir.
Hi guys, is this me on? There it is. I really wish you would have told people that.
Yeah, well, we have history.
It's one of those things that's funny because it's true. Hi guys, give it up for Underneath, first of all, for hosting the main stage for the whole 2 days.
Thank you.
It's a shame we're gonna have to put you back in your crypt later.
What?
Oh, crap.
That was not part of it.
I wasn't supposed to. No, it's cool. Bye. Welcome everybody to the Monsters on and Off the Stage panel. We're gonna have a really great time talking to some of the greatest, some of the best immersive theater shows in Los Angeles. No doubt you guys have seen a lot of these, no doubt you know a lot of these shows, but just so they can hear you back here, so they can get excited, I'm gonna name off a couple shows, see how many of them you guys know. You guys have been to Delusion? How about Millet? What about Tension? The Lust Experience? What about Free Ballet? We're not playing favorites here, but what about the Willows? Have you guys been to the Willows yet? Yeah, if you're lucky enough to actually get a ticket to the Willows. We have all the directors and producers backstage. We're gonna bring them out right now and have a really awesome conversation about creating these shows, what it takes to make them, and maybe even learn something. Huh? You guys down? Yeah. Awesome, so let's go ahead and bring him out. First up, coming on the stage, he's the, look, I saw you first, you're the first one coming up. He's the creator of the Tension Experience and Less Experience. He's also made a couple small films like Saw 2, 3, and 4, Rebuild Genetic Opera, Devil's Carnival, Avatar. Give it up for Darren and Bousman, everybody. I love the tension tattoo. Yeah, you can say wherever you want to.
Hi.
If no one pops up, I'm just going to pick the next one. Now, coming up next, you guys, is the creator of ScareLA and the very, very, very popular The Willows, which is currently playing. If you're lucky enough to get tickets, guys, definitely go check out the show. Give it up for Justin Fix. All right, we also have the producer and director, creator of Wicked Lit, which is a great little company that puts together live reenactments of some great classic literature. Give it up for Paul Millet. And up next, we have no doubt one of the most popular people that we have up here, one of the original immersive shows out here in Los Angeles, the creator of Delusion, John Bravery. Last but not least, this is really exciting actually. We have the producer and director of a new show, a new immersive show that's going to be opening up in Vegas. That's right, you guys, so get those car ready for the flight if you're like, have $100 to spare. Give it up for Illicitus Theater guys, John Dobrenick. How's everybody doing? Hi guys.
Hey. Doing okay?
I'm so happy to see you guys.
Oh, I gotta.
Darren, next time bring it up here to share, yeah?
I know, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's fine. But before we get started, I ask you all what I want to know is in like 1 or 2 words, when you guys start putting together your shows, the very beginning, the genesis of it, what's the emotion that you want to pull out from your audience that makes you want to design the show? Let's start with you, Darren, since you're right here.
What?
Is that a hard question? Do you want me to skip you?
Shouldn't have been invited,
Just
Darren.
2 words is hard.
You can use more than 2 words. I'll let you stretch it.
What the fuck? I mean, that's really what it is. I think the same thing with my film career as well. Is I want you to look at the poster and just say, Paris Hilton and Paul Sorvino, what the fuck? And I want the same thing with the immersive theater. That when you see it on paper, you just want to go see it for the spectacle of how the fuck are they going to do that. So I think for me, that's what it is.
For sort of what we do, I think perspective for us is like huge through storytelling. Sort of gaining insight and knowledge from certain individuals, or conquering your fears or discovering something else through another narrative, through another character. So being able to sort of see the through line and the thread through our narrative, but through a different set of eyes.
I can't say that there's one emotion that really works with Wicked Lit because it features a variety of stories. So there can be a variety of emotions that the stories will evoke from you. And so there isn't one specific emotion, but it's all based on classic literature. So what's really important for us, one of the things that's important for us is to bring this literature alive in a new way and to have an emotional impact that there's a variety of emotions you can imagine or experience, but it's about, wow, I'd like to read that original text because that was really compelling.
With Delusion, I think I'll keep it simple. Adventure. That's what I want. I want people to leave and just feel they went on an adventure together. I just saw Raiders of the Lost Ark at the Hollywood Bowl on Friday. That's how I left there, and that's the kind of feeling I want. That like, oh my God.
I was so jealous. I wanted to go to that.
It was unreal. So that's kind of the feeling I want, and that's the feeling we seem to be getting out of people. So.
For a Vegas show, I guess it would be wonder. I want you to walk into the first scene and set, and I want that jaw drop. I want you to go, wow. Because if I can elicit that emotion out of you immediately, I can twist that to 12.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys all have a wide variety of shows, so it's going to be a really exciting panel. If you guys have any questions, hopefully we can get to them. Fingers crossed. Don't ask what they're going to do later, because I'm going to ask that, okay? I want to start with Paul and John over here, because you guys have been running your shows longer than everybody else here. In the last, few years, since 2009, really, the immersive theater has been growing. how have you guys seen the changes in your shows, the attendance, or what people expect out of them, and how do you guys handle that?
All right. We started in 2000, we actually started in 2008 as a reading series when we were developing Wicked Lit, and our first production was in 2009 at Greystone Mansion. I know that at the beginning, when we started out, what's interesting is Wicked Lit wasn't originally supposed to be or designed to be a site-specific immersive experience. The idea was adapting classic literature, Gothic horror literature, in a theater festival format. And initially, we thought we were going to work with a theater partner. And through a theater partner, we got Greystone Mansion in 2009, and that changed everything for us. You know, we weren't thinking in terms of site-specific, but then when we produced the first show in 2009 at Greystone, it suddenly opened our eyes as to, wow, okay, that's what this can be. And our theater partner, Theater 40 in Beverly Hills, produces a show they still do called The Manor, which is an immersive site-specific show based on the Doheny murders that happened back in the 20s. And so that was our avenue into it. But we weren't, site-specific theater was something that was sort of out there at the time, but it wasn't on our radar until we did that first show, and then suddenly we realized this is what we're gonna do. And so from there on out, we would search for venues. Since 2010, we've been at Mountain View Mausoleum and Cemetery, which have been a fantastic partner for us. And then over the years, we've seen our audience attendance grow. The show grew from 5 nights, now it runs for 7 weeks. And there's an expectation that we've come to discover from fans of the show. What are you going to do this year? How are you going to use the space? And what are we in for this year, which is exciting, and it's just a new way of thinking about theater that we've discovered just from our own experience in terms of how the site and the venue informs the storytelling, and informs the experience, and informs the plays that are crafted. So it's become an expectation for our patrons and our fans, and we realize that, and so every year it's about, okay, how do we think differently about the space, and how do we create this immersive, site-specific experience that they haven't seen before, especially with Mountain View, where this will be our 8th year there, and every year it's like, okay, what are we going to do in the cemetery this year? So we've noticed that, and of course since then, we've seen a lot of other site-specific companies arise, both horror-related and not horror-related. And so that's been, I think it's exciting. I think it's exciting to think differently about going to see a live theatrical show, rather than sitting in a traditional theater setting and going into a space and seeing how the space informs the storytelling. So, John?
Thank you, Paul. I think going off what he was saying, the idea of when we started in 2011, this site-specific sort of theater I never really seen or heard of too much, besides one that existed a while ago called Tamara. But when we first put on the show, every year I write an original story, and it exists in this space. And so I've talked about this on other panels, and this being sort of the bane of my existence, being the venues, writing a story specific to that space, and then having to find a new space for our new story has been quite the challenge over many years. But we've been successful at it to a certain degree, and that is a very rare, special thing for an audience. I always put myself in the shoes of the delusionals, as they call them, the people who come in and see the shows. They want to experience a play inside these very special places. And so we try to find these special places, and I read a story around them. They are a central character in the show. But going to what you were saying, Ryan, earlier, the growth has been insane. I guess the main note I would say was that I've noticed our sort of fan base, I guess, has grown. We can only have a certain amount of tickets per night, so it's always going to be this number. But the demand for tickets it sells out quicker now, so we're very happy about that. But people want to escape more and more. Everybody here, I'm sure you can feel the exact same thing. We just want to escape into another world more and more, and that's happening with all these shows up here. these are things we want to do. So I think the explosion of interactive theater, the explosion of intimate experiences, that's still on the growing side. And when we started in 2011, we could see it in people's eyes when they were leaving. They were like, okay, I'm a part of this adventure. As I said earlier, this is something I want to do. So it's just been growing every year in terms of what we've been trying to do. But as I said, it's a bit tough with the venue aspect. It'd be great to have, if you want to have us at the mausoleum, that'd be nice. We'll just do it like a side-by-side show. I won't have to worry about a show.
Delusion Wicked crossover.
There you go. That'd be fun.
You heard it here first, you guys.
That would be super fun to do that. Just not have to worry about a venue. But anyway, I don't want to take up all the time here, so let's.
No, that's actually a great segue because, well, before we get into doing shows together, these shows have been getting more intense and more elaborate, and I don't think there's a more intensely elaborate immersive show than your tension and lust experiences that you've been creating. A lot of that has to do with the fact that, and if any of you that have been in tension, a part of tension from the beginning know this, it took 6 months from the first moment of getting like an email from a poster until you open a door. 6 months of planning, so by the time that they got there, there was such a community. Why was it important for you to start so early?
So, before I did Tension, I was just a fan of things, fans of movies, fans of plays. But I'm a director by trade, and I think that I became very desensitized about making movies. Like, you spend 2 years to get a movie made, and because I like telling stories, and I'll spend 2 years to make this movie, and the movie's done, and then I have to wait another 1.5 years sometimes to get a movie released. And then you do that, and it may, if you're lucky, go in a theater once, and it may have placement on Netflix, and then it just kind of goes in this graveyard of other content. And I originally wanted to be a director to affect people, to engage them, but now there's so much fucking content that I forget about it the minute after I watch it. I literally will binge watch Glow on 2 days, and then I'll binge watch Ozarks the next 2 days, and I forgot about Glow by the time Ozarks is done, and I keep doing that. And so for me, as a content creator, I wanted to create something that forced you to not forget about it, that made it a part of your life, that made it ingrained in who you are. And so with the Tension experience, we wanted people to know the characters before they came in, know the story, so it was part of them. And I wanted to form a community around that, so it was more than just the entertainment. It was about going to bars with your friends. It was about sharing stories, bitching, complaining, loving, hanging out. I wanted everything, because I think that when you do that with a piece of art, it stays with you, and you don't forget about it. And for someone who's made a bunch of movies that I forgot, movies I shot, I spent years on, I forgot about it. They're like Fight Club talked about it. They're single-serving friends. I wanted to create something that wasn't one of those single-serving things, that made it part of who you are. So the idea behind Tension and Lust was to tell a story and involve the audience if they wanted to become involved a long time in advance of it. So when you actually saw the 90-minute thing, or the 2-hour experience, there was relationships, there was feelings, there was already time that you put into it. So for me, that's why I wanted to do it. I wanted you to actually remember it when you left, not just go see it and forget it and go to the next thing.
And I know it's true because I saw in the front row a couple people nuzzle when we were talking about community, because there's people in this crowd, if you guys know each other, I know a lot of you faces that I know you specifically because we were doing Tension, and you did that, you built a community, and I think that's one of the greatest things you could do.
I didn't do anything, and I think that's the important thing is that we just gave a playground. They came and did it themselves. And I think we get too much credit sometimes, because the reality was we opened a playground up and they came and played in it, and they made it their own, and they spray painted it, and they did whatever they wanted to it. I think that's what I want to see, is more people opening playgrounds, more people opening parks for this kind of stuff to happen. Because I think that we've become lazy as consumers. We literally do very little. We pick up a remote and we hit something to watch content. It's very passive. And I think for me, the things that stay with me are things that are active, things that require you to put forth effort and work. And I always go back to Sleep No More. originally, when I went the first time, I was angry and upset because I had to do shit. I had to walk upstairs, and I don't like walking. I don't like moving. I just like sitting in one place. But it made me unlock the story, and so then I wanted to go back, and I realized that the reason that play hit me was because I had to put effort in. I had to put work in. If I wanted a one-on-one, I had to like figure it out and make contact and actually make connections. And I think that a lot of content now is just so easy because it's so readily available to us. And that's why I love going to things like any of these plays over here, because it's an evening. I remember I just saw Willows, the Willows like a month ago, and it's amazing because you have to step out of your comfort zone, and it's not easy. You have to dress up, you have to arrive, and you have to stand in a place, and you have to have your phone off, and you have to go, there's just so many intricate things. It stays with you because it's unique and you're having to make personal interactions. And to me, that's what's missing with a lot of art is personal interaction. And that's why I think immersive theater is like a drug for me. It's personal, you have to interact with it.
Well said. Talking about the Willows, Justin, you went from creating ScareLA, which was kind of a hybrid between immersive theater and a traditional haunt. You know, people are walking through, but things are happening. And then you created, which is undoubtedly the hottest ticket in town right now, which is the Willows.
Only 18 people can come, so.
What made you guys decide to take that step into creating a fully immersive show?
Just wanted to keep doing it, you know, like for Creep, for us, you know, it was like our launch pad, because I grew up in haunted houses and I like loved them, but I knew I wanted to kind of flip them on sort of how maybe people perceived them, you know, or maybe like remove the masks and focus on these really intimate, personal, raw, real present shit that I think most people don't put themselves in that, you know, in the light or in that chair and really make themselves face these fears and acknowledge the idea of sort of the terrifying things that are or could be. And so we really just wanted to do it more. With Creep, and so we had started drafting up our summer show, and our whole team was like, why are we talking about the summer of 2017? Let's talk about the spring. And I had honestly, in February, I had just finished watching Clue the movie, and I had like this light bulb, and I was like, oh, that is such a fun thing to have a bunch of people show up and like run around a mansion and eat soup at a table. Like, I'm gonna make people do this shit. And, you know, honestly, 4 weeks later, our team worked really fast and worked really hard, and we curated and put up this really awesome sort of site-specific piece. And, you know, much like Braver said, and Darren, it's like, I feel like we all do this because, yeah, it's affected us, we love the type of work, but at the end of the day, it's like, for everyone in these chairs, like our experience and our shows are curated and produced for enthusiasts and fans like you. So, you know, we can only learn and critique and really justify sort of the driving force of what we make is what interests you. And I think that's what's so amazing of kind of all of us, all of our tone, mood, style, approach to this type of, you know, that trigger word, immersive theater. You know, I think it's just gets everyone buzzing, you know, because everything's immersive. I think what, you know, Dee was trying to say is like, put down your phone and be present, and you will naturally become part of the environment and part of the storyline. And so, yeah, the Willows is like a 2-hour sort of adaptation of like Clue meets like a new way to approach the murder mystery like dinner genre, and we kind of put those together and like sprinkled a little of our Creep, you know, flair and tone on it, and we've been producing that for like the last 5 months.
That's awesome, and it's been doing really well. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's really fun.
John, other John.
Yep.
John, who didn't get the number to wear a black shirt. Illicitus is a brand new company that's starting up right now. What are you looking forward to as far as what can people expect to see from your show that's different and unique? Something in Vegas.
This is a Vegas show. I have to emphasize that because it was part of the creative process. I wanted to do something more and stand out and be different. I have a lot of respect for everyone up here. These guys are amazing. Like, I feel honored to be in their presence right now. But at the same time, I wanted something, I didn't want to be competition with these guys, because each one of them have their own artistic idea, all of us, and we want that idea. It's not to be competition, it's to give you a show. And I said, what the fuck better place than Vegas to do an over-the-top show? Like, really? So in doing that, the idea of Illicitus was born to give something different. Really, I've been an LA haunter and I love the scene, but where do we all go in LA to vacation to get out? We go to Vegas. Is there anything there for you in Vegas right now? There is a year-round show for you, produced for you.
That's awesome, man. We look forward to it. I can't wait to see it. I want to have a little discussion with you guys. Instead of having the usual talks that we have every year with this panel, which is the same questions, I thought it'd be fun to talk a little bit about creating the shows and what goes into actually working on it. So this is more like general. If you guys feel like you have an answer, please don't, argue. But when specifically show something like the Willows Intention and in Delusion you just too, it feels like a sandbox. When you guys go to these shows, it feels like you can do anything you want. Like I can talk to anyone, but in reality, you're pushing people through a storyline. So what do you do how do you balance that to make the audience feel like they're making the decision while still, pushing forward in that story?
And I think the problem is too, like trying to move the amount of people through a space and still being able to, provide sort of a story, and not feel like you got 8 people behind you.
Yeah, it's funny because I think we could probably all agree that we write these shows for the 1 out of 50 people that will get everything we want out of them, that will actually play their part and do what we hope that they will do. I always say every year that the amount of trust we put in people is enormous and beyond what insurance companies would be happy to insure. And but it's funny because I personally write these shows for that 1 out of 50. Well, it's probably not 1 out of 50, no more than that. But I'm just hoping that people will. I just have a lot of trust. I hope that people will do what they would naturally do, have common sense to not stab an actor, in the neck with that knife that's over there. But I think, to be honest, Delusion has been. I think the best thing about Delusion for me are the actors. The actors are spectacular. I put a lot of. If I do anything right, it is finding the right people to act in these shows. They're pros in every respect. And they love people and they love interacting with people. So they are in charge of the group because we can only do so much. So there's lots of cues, lots of different things that we can do if something goes wrong. But they're in charge of the group. So getting people through is it's under their control. So that's.
Darren probably has the most.
I mean, for us, it's all about the event and everything we do prior to the event. Like Lust has been going on since February and will continue to go on. This an ARG, but that's not what it's about. It's going to be about the event, the standalone thing that you go to. For us, we approach audience members differently. It's about trust, and it's about a lot of what we do with the ARG is building trust between what we know we can put somebody through. So for example, if I have a person that I see interact with us on a daily basis, and I see that person communicates on our message board, and I see that person goes to pop-up events, when they come through our doors, we will push them in a completely different way than we will someone that we've never met before, someone that just comes in for the first time. And I think that for us, specifically with Lust, the event will work with not having any of the ARG. You could have done 0% of the ARG and the event will 100% work, but you're going to get a somewhat different experience because the trust isn't there for us or for them either. And I think that it comes down to, as John said, it comes down to casting, having people when you walk through our doors that you connect with immediately. And I think that the difference between immersive theater and like a traditional movie, on a movie, the actors are acting passively to an audience who's watching it. But there has to be that both ways when you go to immersive theater. the actor has to connect with you as a person, and the person has to connect you with an actor. So I think that for us, there's a couple different tracks. There's the people that just walk through our doors for the very first time, that heard about us through a friend on Facebook, and they come through. They're going to get a much different show than someone who's been interacting on the ARG for some extent because of that trust that we have. I forgot your question. I'm just fucking rambling.
We're talking about like all the tools, how we can keep our show moving forward. All those cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially something like that you do attention, where literally you can do anything. You feel like you can go anywhere, talk to anyone.
Again, it's the illusion of free will, and I think there is a lot of free will. About 70% of our actors were on headsets. I was in all but 2 shows for We Did 10. I think we did 16 weeks or something, and I was in all but 2 of the shows. And so, again, if we see someone that we know going through, we will at the same time be talking to the actors and push them a certain way. But again, it's that idea that there are a lot of unlockable things, Easter eggs throughout the show. But again, to really do this, it can't just be a free roaming sandbox. But you have to make people think it's a free roaming sandbox.
We run with a bunch of sound cues, like traditional haunt stuff. You know, like when you hear the door slam, that means there's probably another group coming, so you better hurry up, you know, to keep things kind of driving forward. But you have a really smart idea what you guys do with your show.
Yeah, well, with Wicked Lit, there's less of the idea of the audience making choices in terms of where to go and what to do. We pretty much orchestrate the show so that the audience is led and told where to go, where to stand, where to sit, where to be to experience the show. And because with the way Wicked Lit is structured is it's 3 plays that are happening simultaneously. It's about orchestrating all of that so that the plays can run independent of each other for a distinct audience, not overlap or step on each other, especially if they're sharing a space. And then having them end and having our audience come back and then reassemble and then rotate and then go off and see the second show. So it is, we call it orchestration, where you literally orchestrate the entire production and your audience through. But it's less about audiences having choice or even appearing to have choice. You know, we pretty much share. We have actors who, again, talk about casting well. It's so important, as all of you guys know. You've got to have really strong actors who are not just strong and talented in terms of being a performer, but are also comfortable in dealing with audience, especially the story guides, because we have our story guide actors who they specifically talk to the audience and tell them where to go and where to stand and where to sit and where to be, and if they're standing where they shouldn't, get them back where they need to be. So that is it's crucial in orchestrating the show. So, but yeah, it's a bit of a machine, making all 3 plays run at the same time and having it look effortless, hopefully.
Have you guys been to each other's shows? Have you guys seen? Is there anything that you guys saw when you go to someone else's show that you almost want to like steal the idea or something that gives you an idea like, oh, this is something. This is gonna be good.
No, we had this whole orchestrated fight that we were going to do in the middle and slap
Shut up, Darren.
Security.
I walked in with a hidden camera and stole all of Liza with it. Now I even forgot the fucking name, and I was going to give it. I know. I'm sorry. No, I mean, I try to go. But you know what I'll say, and what's cool about this community is that everyone is so friendly. I mean, I'll give you an example. I've known John for years now, and I saw Delusion 5 years ago or something like that, and I called him right after I saw it, and he was so open that we sat down, we had coffee, and it was so cool because he could have been a dick. He could have been just, wait, you want to open your own immersive? What are you doing? Why are you talking? I mean, he wasn't at all, and it was the complete opposite of that. I'm saying that now, but he probably was like, fuck this guy. No, but every single one of these guys, I think the whole community is so kind of open and supportive of one another. I think you kind of have to be if you want this thing to grow. We want it to grow so we can get more people, and if more people come in, that means we can stay open longer. And so I think for us, it's a very, I don't know, each other's success helps us. And I think that it's been, so yeah, I try to go as many as I possibly can.
Yeah. No, I was just
This is a good time to announce our 2020 venture.
Oh, you want to talk about this? Yeah, we should talk. No, I'm just bouncing up what Darren was saying. Like, I have mad respect for these guys. I mean, like Justin and I, we went out and got some sushi together, and it's just.
I think, John, let's work together now, please. Let's do it.
I think all 5 of you guys should just put on one awesome show. Right? Did you guys go see that?
It's to be in 2020. It's $20,000 a ticket. On sale now. It's $12,000 for you guys. It's fine.
Okay, we're joking.
But no, I'll just keep it simple. I am attracted to passionate people. And these are passionate people all the way down the line. And just feed off it. It's cool. It's nice just to break through our societal norms and then find people that are like this, that have a similar mindset of just wanting to do cool experiences. And that's, again, it goes back to what I said before. Everything with me and my life and where I grew up, everything's about an adventure. I'm always the guy that's like, hey, Paul, let's go camping together and let's go to Mammoth and disappear for 4 days and let's go do that. And if that's me and that's what Delusion is, let's come on this ride with me and let's just go have fun and do that. And so all these guys are doing that, and it's pretty damn cool to live in this town where you can have that option.
Yeah, all I ever experience is just respect and support, because I think we all want each other to succeed, and that's just been my experience with all of you guys, and that's awesome.
So with that said, who's your least favorite show? Okay, don't answer. Don't answer.
So Darren, Delusion, Darren's tension.
With, Paul, you're lucky with the Wicked Lit where you guys have a regular spot every year you get to do your show. Everybody else does not.
Dun, dun, dun.
How do you guys find your locations, and how much do you have of your story written before you get there, and how much of your story do you write once you find your location?
We had an entire talk about this last week. I mean, to me, the hardest part is not the casting and script writing, it's the locations. You're dealing with so many issues, from zoning to permits to police to fire to neighbors. I mean, it's a huge issue. For us, location is everything. It took us 2.5 years to find the location for Ascension. I was supposed to, originally, the idea was in 2014 to open it, and then moved to 2015. And eventually in 2016, we were able to do it. It's one of these things that for Los Angeles at least, they want to give you 3-year leases, and anything less than a 3-year lease is considered unfavorable for them. And so little warehouses that are all downtown will sit empty for years, because they're hoping that someone will do the 3-year lease. So if you come in and offer them, say, I'll give you, in our case, a year, they're like, no, we want a 3-year. And so you'll go back the next year, and no one's taken that place over, but they're still hoping for the 3-year lease. So to me, the locations are always the hardest part of this.
Yeah, generally just like space too. You want to tell these stories that take place over 45 minutes or 3 hours, and therefore you just need the amount of square footage or just land mass to be able to tell these narratives. And Braver, I feel like he's pulled off so much, but he's also made such a gamble dealing with HOA and jumping in residential neighborhoods, but has crafted these amazing stories. And then you have Darren, who's like taken over an entire block, where, Boyle Heights?
Boyle Heights,
yeah. My hardest thing is I never came from production. So to be able to go into such a raw space and to build from the ground up for a person who's like used a drill, a handful of times is, it's quite labor intensive. So for us to go into something like the Willows was a really, for me, it was a smart recipe, because I was like, I can go into this home, we can craft these dinners, and then we can literally leave this home and come back whenever we have a show again. So therefore, I didn't have this overhead of, renting out a lease for a year or by month to month. I could actually, kind of supply and demand and be able to book a space much like a venue would for a wedding, and be able to sort of craft and do a more of a pop-up style, and then go dark again.
That's so funny, because I went to see the Willows, and so funny. I'll admit, I gotta go back again. I loved it. What you did was spectacular. and mad kudos. But I'll admit that as I was going through, I was like, oh my God, this looks, like the overhead was just so relaxed. Everything was relaxing. I was like, oh my God, there's nothing, because Delusion has like 1,000 moving parts, and like I looked at this and I was like, oh, this is smarter. You're much smarter than I am. Just because all this white stuff comes from the amount of moving parts. So yeah, I need to go again, but so I can remove myself from that.
From a standpoint of, I wanted to tell a story, I wanted to engage an audience, and I would say 75% of my time on the first year, and so we take over the location in Boyle Heights, and it is a dump for people come every morning and they dump trash off. And I'm not a little trash, a lot of trash. And people basically, we got the building, we had a cleaning crew come and remove all the trash, and the next morning it was caked in new trash and spray painted in new spray paint. And I found out that 75% of my time was dealing with, there was no running water in the place. We had to install toilets and bathrooms and small things like the floor was uneven, and to make it safe I had to deal with contractors. And I would say it was 75% maintenance of a location and 25% creative to keep it open. Because I didn't think about shit like that. I was like, I want to tell a cool story, and instead I'm literally dealing with plumbers having to be there between this hour and this hour because no participants will be there during them. And I guess I didn't realize that trying to tell a story was going to be being a contractor, and that's what it ended up being.
Yeah, that's actually what happened in 2016 with our house that we found. I find the space and I write the story to the space, but then the owner, in the West Adams district where we've notoriously been, the people there are very, very strange people. But the owner, she calls me one day, I wrote the story, she calls me like a month and a half before we were gonna open, and she's like, hey, don't be alarmed, but I made some changes to the house. I was like, what? She said, just don't worry, we're gonna get it back to where it was. And I come in, the entire house, I don't know if you came to the show, anybody came to the show last year in 2016? I came into the house with my producers, she gutted the entire house, not just on all 3 floors. There were no walls to the entire space. She gutted everything because she found some fire damage in like one part of the house. So she ripped that open and found some more, and then ripped out. Just decided, I'm gonna redo the entire place and I'll put it back. That just destroyed us. The fact that we had a show was amazing, but it's stuff like that I'm done with.
You were even saying Vegas is just as difficult.
Vegas is just as difficult, even sometimes maybe a little more. It's because of the traffic that Vegas sees. It is a very tourist, high-profile town because everybody comes there to party, live it up, and escape. So it very much is a new world out there in Vegas, and it can be tedious. It can set the show back. All of us up here have had those issues with coding and everything else that happens. So it is more difficult to do this than a lot of people realize.
Do we have any questions? Anybody here interested in hearing something that we are not talking about? Yeah, in the back. Hi.
So, how do you feel about the new escape room drama sort of infiltrating immersive theater?
The question was, how do you guys feel about the new the escape room drama? Is something going on with escape rooms? Are they not getting going?
The influx, like.
Oh, the influx of escape rooms. I thought people were upset at each other.
To me, it's awesome because it's a gateway drug to immersive theater. I think that when an escape room requires you to be present, it requires you to act in a group setting, it requires you to think and communicate with one another. And I always talk about horror films and gateway horror films. Like, I remember when I was growing up, there was all these like horror films that were my gateway drug into watching like Cannibal Holocaust. So I would watch like Ghoulies, and that led me to something much more extreme. I think that escape rooms they're everywhere now, and I think there's an oversaturation. But that said, I think that audience, it's a lot easier to go to an escape room than some of our stuff, and I think that maybe that's a good first step for them. They're like, hey, this is cool, we got to get stuck in a room, we had to work together to get out. Oh, have you heard about? And then I think it's an easier way to get into us.
Any other questions? Cool. Great. Let's talk about what you guys have coming up next. I know, Paul, you guys announced your show, right? With the stories that you're telling.
Yeah, we just announced on social media, and we're going to be dropping a press release probably this week. The Wicked Lit 2017 we're really excited about. It's all new. We generally always try to be all new. It's the three plays that are featured in this year's show. The first one is Thoth's Labyrinth, which is based on an ancient Egyptian legend, the Book of Thoth. It's actually going to be a little something different from what we've done with Wicked Lit, where imagine, if you will, Raiders of the Lost Ark meets Wicked Lit. So,
I'm in.
It's basically about tomb raiding, and we're going to be dividing the audience, and the audience is going to have a different experience than they've ever had with Wicked Lit with this show. And that's all I'll say about that. But it's a romp. It's an adventure. That show is going to be completely staged inside the mausoleum by itself, so it has the run of the entire building, and it's a tomb raiding story, and it's going to be a lot of fun. The other two are an adaptation of Ambrose Bierce's The Damn Thing, which we're excited about. It's a story that one of my partners, Jeff Rack's, been developing for the last couple of years, and it will be using a variety of parts of the property and finishing up at the cemetery, as we're wont to do. The last one is The Open Door, which was originally written by Margaret Oliphant and adapted by playwright Kirsten Brandt. It's the one I'm directing. It's our first time that we're working with a playwright who's not local. Kirsten's based in Santa Cruz, and she submitted to us 3 years ago and has been working on it, so we're finally getting to do it, and we're very excited about that. Our Frame, which is the fourth, less narrative, more experiential, which basically, when you arrive, the frame is what you experience and step into, and it basically guides you through the night, is called Lillian, based on an old French play, and it's basically about souls trapped in purgatory looking to cross over. The tie-in is that all three of the pieces, all three of the plays, feature spirits and their souls that are trapped looking to escape. So that's the lineup for Wicked Lit 17.
That sounds amazing. If you guys have never had a chance to go to a Wicked Lit show, definitely check it out. It is a lot of fun, and it is the most family-friendly immersive show that you can go to. It's all ages, or do you allow
We consider Wicked Lit PG-13, if you will.
There you go.
Younger children, probably not. It would just be a bit much for them and a little over their heads. But it's probably the most family-friendly of all the ones up here. We have had some 10 or 11-year-olds, and they were fine. We had a 14-year-old girl one year had to be taken home because she couldn't handle one of the shows. So, but generally we say it's PG-13. It's yeah.
What about you, Justin? Do we have I know that the Willows is doing really well. Are you gonna have time to do a creep show?
Yeah,
Yeah, someone's excited. I'm excited too. You're not alone, man. I'm right there with you. I'm really excited.
We're gonna push Willows. We may try to juggle both shows at the same time, but I think that seems like a lot. So we may go dark with the Willows. The family may be tucked into bed for a little bit while we mount sort of creep. And yeah, we have like a pretty awesome big announcement coming out next week. So TBA. That's all I got. But yeah, we'll run for about 8 weeks. We'll open our doors October 5th for Creep, and we'll run through almost till Thanksgiving.
Darren, I gotta be very careful when I word this question because I don't want to spoil anything, and I know that your shows tend to be very intense and very serious. It took months for everyone to find out that he was actually doing tension, by the way, if you guys didn't know that.
Except a couple people in the audience, too.
A couple.
All right.
I wish you could have been there for the elaborate story he told us about convincing us that he wasn't running it that one day, but that was amazing. What can people look forward to that makes Lust that different from tension?
It's completely different. I think that's been our hardest growing pain, is that tension was awesome, and it was lightning in a bottle, and I don't want to try to repeat myself. So Lust has a completely different framework, and the experience itself is going to be completely different. There is a mid-season event, which will be in October, but we have a long way to go, and the idea kind of Lust is a much, much bigger world than tension. So the final event will be much, much bigger than tension, if you can imagine that. I mean, yeah, that's all I can really say about it.
Like tension with magic powers?
No, just a lot bigger than tension. So yeah, so there is a mid-season event that will take place in October, and then an announcement soon following what the main event is.
Yeah, it's exciting. I don't want to know anything about it because I love going in and being surprised. I'm sorry, but I don't. John, you have is there gonna be a Delusion show this year? Is that something that you're working on?
No.
Okay.
There's no Delusion show
Well,
this year.
that's our show, everybody. Thank you.
We're working on, there's a lot going on.
You had the VR experience that you're putting together, actually.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, to back up a bit, so I wrote 5 original plays since 2011, and now that is part of sort of a grander Delusion universe that I've now partnered with. Some people have heard about this already, but I've partnered with this entertainment company called Skybound Entertainment. They're like Robert Kirkman's company, the creator of Walking Dead, those guys. So he and I are sort of partners on this expansion of these 5 stories and everything beyond into, the interactive show, VR, film, television, comic books, and all that stuff. So we shot the virtual reality narrative series based on my 2014 play, Delusion Lies Within. We shot that in March, in April, and we're in post-production for that now. So I'm not going to bore you with the details of VR post-production, but it's pretty hellish to get this stuff out. But so we've been doing that pretty extensively for a while. At the same time, I was looking for venues and didn't find a venue for this year, but found a venue for next year. So we will have a show next year, and I'm writing that show as we speak. It's cool. That one is, I'll just give a little tease to it. It's basically a pretty badass time traveling show. But it's cool because actually, in terms of the live theater, which is still the bread and butter of the baby, where my heart really lies, it's cool because we get to, I kind of lost my train of thought there. No, but I get the space way in advance now, which usually I get a space in May. I write the show in June and July and August, and then we open the show. But now I actually have over a year to focus on the show and all the other things going on too. But it's kind of refreshing to have that. So, in a nutshell, the VR series, season 1 of that will probably be done by December. We're gonna have a pretty badass Delusion Halloween gathering party at the new space that we're gonna have this year. We'll announce that later. A few tickets for that. But so do the VR series and then the live show next year, and then I'm writing a comic book on one of the shows now, as well as a radio drama based on last year's show. So last year's show was His Crimson Queen, and I want to do it as an old school radio drama.
So you got a VR, you're working on a show for next year, you got a comic book and a radio show? What are you doing though?
What's that?
Okay, we actually have a treat for you guys. You brought a video to show off the new VR project.
It's like late night television. You brought a clip?
We don't have to show it to you guys if you don't want to see it. You guys want to see it? Can we play our first video, please?
Kill the lights.
If we can kill the lights, that'd be really cool too. I guess not. It's fine.
But working with VR is obviously a little different. I mean, it's just film, but it's more complex filmmaking in that you have some very specific beats you have to hit while also staying within the scene for an extended period of time. So it's a fun challenge, and I think it's a lot of fun. So it's more complex in that way, and it's not as loosey-goosey.
The same challenge for theater. I mean, a lot of people grow up doing theater, and I'm no different. And so it's fun to kind of go back to that because you can't cut. It's a one elongated scene, and so it's kind of the excitement of oh wow, you can actually film theater, but do it in a professional, eye-popping way.
We have really long takes, and we don't do much coverage or close-ups. So we rehearse more for VR than we would for an actual film, in my experience.
Well, I think one of the major differences is there's no audience in the room with us. In the stage show, we're used to being physically close to the people who are viewing it. In the VR, the camera becomes sort of this omnipresent thing. But the immersive environment is still exactly the same. On our first day of shooting, when I was waiting to make my first entrance into the world, all I kept thinking was, it's Delusion. It's the universe. Just tell the story. like you would in the show, because it's the same sort of feeling, the same sort of intimacy as the stage show, for sure.
I love the process of it. I wish everything was VR, because I think as an actor, you really get into that habit of just staring at a tennis ball, saying your lines, and moving on, rather than really being in the world and actually, like, I'm a part of this.
The detail behind this project, as far as the art direction, our art director, Kevin, is insanely gifted. He and his team have put together an atmosphere that really draws you in and makes you feel as though you're in this 1940s haunted mansion, essentially. Everything from the books that they have to the furniture to the curtain design.
One of the things that excited me about this project was just all the opportunity for movement. To not embody the camera as a person and not have them in any way tied to the narrative, but you're kind of lingering in between the space of what I would like to say, a ghost in this manner, since there's a lot of that kind of going on, but it's a combination of that and a fly on the wall, where it's purely observational, but we are giving you moments with certain characters, sliding over and giving you the moments with the other characters, rather than kind of staying stationary and just kind of watching things from a distance in the room. So this, I'm hoping, is a lot more engaging. It brings, the characters to the action rather than trying to cut.
Even just looking, we've got to look at a little bit of the test footage. And then you just have a big dumb grin on your face the entire time. It's a lot of fun.
John Braver's the man. The VR world, it's the same, really allowing the actor to sort of envelop the story, and he's created this whole world, these characters, this story, but he really just allows an actor to go in and live in it while just guiding in the most loving and supportive and brilliant way possible.
Everything just takes you to another place. They've honestly transformed this location and made it into this grandiose place of fear. No, wait!
Am I gonna have to tie you to your chair?
Yeah, that was fun.
That looks great. I'm excited to see that. Lies Within was my favorite Delusion show. Next to that one that was the Blood Right when I got magic powers, that was also really cool. Other John. Other John.
Vegas John.
Vegas John, I like Vegas John. Your new show, Illicitus, you brought a trailer, which is the world premiere trailer.
No one has seen this. We have saved it just for ScareLA. This is the first glimpse. You'll see pieces of the set if you look carefully. And
cool.
Take the ride. Buy the ticket, take the ride.
Let's watch that, and then we can talk a little bit about it. Let's all go down here and watch this together.
I'm gonna sit here because I've seen that damn thing a lot.
Wow. That looks super fun. Yes. That looks amazing. Who's the road trip, you guys? Yeah? We'll just rent a bus. We'll all go. That looks amazing, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, how much time do we have? We supposed to be talking about stuff? If this is the last panel, we go over. Does anyone care? No, we're good. What can we look forward to in that show? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I'm going to take you through your own possession. I figured if we're going to go and cross the line and do it, why don't we cross all the lines that everybody is afraid to cross? So, if you want to know what it's like to be possessed and what the stages are of possession, I'm going to take you through it firsthand. I can't account for anything that follows you after.
Switch chairs?
No. Well, hi, do you have a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it a Judeo-Christian possession, or is it like a non-denominational possession?
This is going to take you through all the levels of hell that I could imagine.
Specifically Mormon.
There may be some Mormon elements in it.
Maybe.
Maybe there's, I don't want to, this is obviously has religion in it, it's religion themed, but this is for everybody. You know, I designed this show so that everybody could come to it. Whether you're in a wheelchair, or you're walking, whether you are Mormon, Catholic, whoever, I want you to come and experience my insanity. So that's exactly what you're going to experience, my insanity.
Cool, that's awesome. Thank you guys all so much for taking time and coming up here and talking about this. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation as much as we did. If you guys have any questions about the history of these shows or anything you can hear in previous interviews, because you guys have answered those questions like a billion times, or you can ask them yourselves. If you're, I highly recommend you guys check out all of these shows if you haven't. And if you, I highly recommend also you guys check out the Less Experience, because you guys, it's gonna take a minute for you guys to get into it, and the more, with all of your shows really, the more you give, the more you get, I think is the key. And Darren, I think you hit it on the nose, which is something I want to end with, is you cannot be passive in any of these shows. You have to engage, and
I wasn't expecting that.
yeah. Yeah, you have to engage. So go out there, you guys, engage, be a part of the story. Please don't be passive in life or in anything. Live your heart out. You guys, thank you so much for coming to ScareLA. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian.
What was that you just said, Brian?
I said thank you.
No, those words of wisdom that you have for everyone. What was that?
I said live your life.
Live your life.
Yes.
What did you say before that?
I don't remember.
I don't either. You know what? It's been about 2 hours since I've killed anybody, Brian. Here, did you hold this, please?
I have no life insurance. Okay.
Ah, I can't use real blood. There you go. Ah, happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween, guys. Thank you for coming to ScareLA. You all have a great weekend. We'll see you this October, okay?
Yeah!
Sprays water on my fucking camera.